I ask, this hearing of the Board of Zoning and Building Code of Appeals is now called to order at 6:30 PM on April 16th, 2025. Recording Secretary, please roll call for the attendance of members of the board.
Mr. Pilato?
Here.
Mr. Shelko?
Here.
Mr. Iafreda?
Present.
Mr. Fosselman?
Here.
Also present is Zoning Inspector Chris Hall. All persons in the audience sign in as you did. We have a big audience this evening, thank you. Any comments on the minutes from the last two meetings, correct?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as read, as printed.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pilato?
On the last meeting, I'm gonna abstain. The meeting before, yes.
Mr. Shelko?
I'm the opposite.
Okay. Mr. Iafreda?
Yes.
Mr. Fosselman?
I'll abstain on the first one, yes on the second one.
Okay.
We're okay? Good. All persons wishing to speak on the issue will please raise their right hand and affirm to the oath. That's you. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will be giving before this board is to the best of your knowledge and accurate and truthful presentation of the facts? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Now in turn, please state your name and relationship to the case for the tape recorder recognition.
Trevor Eckstein, architect for, design development architect for Pekin Anna.
That's their second case. That's fine. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Ohio Sunshine Law. The notice of the hearing was duly published in the newspaper of general circulation in the city of Macedonia. The notice is available for review upon request at the building department. The rules of the board require an affirmative vote of 3 members in order to pass regardless of the number of members present of the hearing. The hearing is conducted in an informal manner to review the evidence and to respond to any questions. However, there is an outline and steps that will be taken in that order. The applicant does not have to be present for the board to hear the case as publicized. Each case number and appeal request will be announced in its turn as it arrives. Our first case this evening is going to be case 715. And the appeal from is in order. Is there any correspondence from the notified adjacent property owners, Rachel?
Yes. For case 715, Mr. Dorsey, who lives right next door, called and said he approves and has no issue.
Okay, is there any unsolicited correspondence regarding this case? Okay. Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for an area variance at 727 Ledge Road. The variance request is to section 1163.02D regarding side and rear yard setbacks. The applicant is requesting a variance of 1 foot to have a setback of 9 feet instead of the required 10 feet.
Does the board have any questions to the city?
Not in this. No.
Well, he is not here this evening, and we're going to talk about it and vote on it. So, is there any discussion on the issue of the 9 foot? Well, like I said before, what I read is originally it is 9 foot when they first built the house. So it's not going anywhere. All he wants is to conform with the rest of the house of the new addition he's putting on.
Yeah, I can't see how it's changing anything because it's already at 9 foot for the rest of the other part of the property, so.
Me either.
And I think they did a decent job of presenting in their
Very-
paperwork.
Very good job. Well, any motion?
I make a motion, we accept the variance of 1 foot on case number 715.
I'll second that.
Are there any further questions or comments from the board? No. Entertain the motion, will you take a roll call, please, a vote?
Mr. Iafreda,
Yes.
Mr. Fosselman,
Yes.
Mr. Shoko,
Yes.
Mr. Palato.
Yes. Case 715 has passed with the 1-foot variance. Okay. Case 716 is withdrawn from this evening.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to case 717. Would you come on up and sit down, please,
Sure.
with all your info? Is there any correspondence from notified adjacent property owners, Rachel?
No,
Any unsolicited regarding the case?
nope.
Will the zoning inspector please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for an area variance at 8854 Valley View Road. The variance request is to section 117111C regarding off-street parking spaces. The applicant is requesting a variance of 337 spaces to have 130 off-street parking spaces instead of the required 467.
So-
Is there any questions to the city from the board? Okay. And then we'll let you do your presentation.
So it's, the facility's 238,000 square feet. 15,000, 2 floors, to be 30,000 is office, and then the remaining is divided up to manufacturing warehousing. That's how we ended up with counts of 467 on PP line 1. So they're gonna have like 100 employees, but not until probably 2028. So this project is currently scheduled to be phased with equipment coming in from Germany for their process. So, you know, they're just not gonna be 100 parking spaces. Most of the municipalities that I represent or present in, you know, they would rather have grass than asphalt.
As the 100 employees, is that across one shift or is that scattered? 3 shifts, okay.
Yeah, most of this floor plate is equipment. You know, one piece of equipment is 500 feet long. It's like a giant pizza oven for their process. And the column spacing is 83 feet wide, so it's in that bay, 500 feet by 60 feet wide. So it's a significant piece of equipment to be put together in there. So that's occupying most of the floor space, not hand-picked racking or storage or.
The 100 employees is the one shift, as you said, okay? Is that for opening? I mean, how about in the future? What's gonna happen down the road?
The 100 is.
Especially going 3 phases.
Yeah, the 100 is in the future. So rather than him coming back when he ramps up employees to pay for more parking, it's just rather do it upfront. So I show 130 spaces, so he may not have, he may not fill that. But in 3 shifts, you know, you have people overlapping.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people come in and say, hey.
The most is gonna be there one time, you're saying is 130.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a big drop from the 467. That's only for the size of the building, but as far as employees, I can understand that.
Well, I did, on my plan, I do show land bank parking. So say they leave and some call center moves in where they have a 3-foot desk. I do show that this lot can meet that parking requirement. We still have the need for pavement.
All right. Well, if, whatever we do, that would be one of my considerations, I guess, or one of my motions, that if in the future, whether it's you or whoever, come in and it does need more, that it would revert back to the
Right,
That's what-
yeah, and that's why I showed the land, that's why I showed the land parking, so that in the future, we know it can be code.
Is the stormwater basin sized to accommodate the additional parking if they were to put it in?
Yes, no, this is misleading. You know, if we go to the planning submittal, there's a swale here, and this is more of a prelim storm management. So what you're looking at here, no, because if you put the two sheets together, my future parking kind of goes that direction, right? So this, he didn't have the survey, the topo survey complete when he did this, but now it's re-engineered, so this is moved down this way, and
Okay.
there's a swale that goes to the ditch this way, so he's, you know, that's in the plan. It's already submitted.
If you had to say, what would be the most parking spots, spaces that you would like to put in besides that number of 130?
130 is the most I would like to put in. Yeah, but he might have 50, 60 people on day shift, and then another 25 or 30 come into the night shift. That's where the overlap is. That's where you need the 130, so there's an empty space for the second shift guy to come in, and then the same for the third shift guy.
Okay, when I look, I couldn't, like, here's the parking, correct?
Yep, and it also turns the
Okay,
corner.
right here. Like dock doors, and where's your dock gonna be on here?
Okay,
Is it
so,
all up front here?
yes, sir. There's docks on both sides. So there's incoming product, the way this architecture on the inside comes in. And there's a rail spur here, so some product will come in to the building this way. And to start, until the rail gets built, it'll be trucked in.
Okay,
And then the product goes through the process and comes out to finished goods here. So there's warehousing on this side, there's warehousing on this side. And it comes out and then trucks go out either this way or this way. We're currently in talks with Norfolk Southern, who owns this property and this property, about access easements.
okay.
Right, and not just.
Besides the rail.
Besides crossing, well, we need to cross over their rail, but currently, the concrete guy that's on that parcel now, he's got like a temporary easement, which means Norfolk Southern can give him a 30-day notice and then shut him off from access. So that's in the negotiations that we're scheduled next week to meet with Norfolk Southern to see what we
Dealing
can
with
get.
them.
Yeah, the neighbor here, he did a land swap and he was able to get a permanent access easement for his property, right? So this access road goes past his property, so we're in discussions on maybe piggybacking off of that permanent access easement. Because if we don't get that, you know, they need permanent access easement to get the funding for the project, or for the banks. We won't finance something if you're not, you're gonna be landlocked, right? So it gets a little tricky.
Any other questions?
What eventually, what will be total employment?
Eventually, well, in 2029, when they ramp up their last piece of equipment, for the building, for the 238,000 square foot building that's here. Now, mind you, there's a future expansion of, it's probably another, 60, 75,000 here. I would say, 150 to 200 potentially. If they take that expansion and they get their contracts, because they take plastic pellets and they are running them through furnaces and flattening them and stretching them, and with that film, they're making capacitors. And with the amount of electric cars coming out, these capacitors are becoming hot commodity, so, they wouldn't be chasing a 240,000 square foot building if it wasn't something that's promising for them.
So you're talking, you say 150
To 200.
to 200.
But that's with another expansion of the building?
Potentially, yeah. No, I'm not.
No, we're just trying to get an idea. that
Yeah.
You'd have to come back again between now and then is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I show 130 now, and they come with this expansion, yes, this expansion comes with parking expansion, absolutely, if that's what you're asking,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with just 130 with that number, if we're looking at that, instead of coming back and doing it all over again, okay? We dropped to 50%, that's 234 parking spots, which is way more than what you need, basically.
But, I mean, they're gonna have a hard time filling in, and if they expand, it's already planned where the parking would expand.
I guess I wouldn't have a problem if we approve it, but go with the revision that if in the future it needs to be done, expanded, they have to come back, just like Ken said, and
Yeah.
go back to code, okay, or, I don't know, what do you guys think with the percentage of drop from?
Chris, the 400, the 337 parking spots, is that because of the size of the building?
Yes, correct, Chris?
Well, you can see how they calculate it versus
Yeah.
office storage and manufacture, and that's based off of the code.
Right, right.
Yeah, so.
And I mean, if we go code, all right, you said the whole second floor is gonna be all office upstairs?
There's,
Is which-
there's a 15,000 square foot footprint that has a second floor, so it's only an additional 15,000 square feet. So the office, well, it's less than that, 22,100 is what I have for office space. And given the 20% discount, or reduction, it's 17,680 square feet, which is 71,000. Or, I'm sorry, 71 parking spaces for office. Now, if we add office, yeah, if in the future you add office, I have to calculate it at one space for every 250 square feet.
Right.
But if we add manufacturing, it's one space for 400 square feet. And if they find that they're tight on parking, I'll be back here asking for parking. Like if they add employees before the expansion. So I don't see how that would be.
Well, we understand her, that the green space is nice too, okay, instead of just having an asphalt sea out there, all right? I don't know, maybe if we come up with a number, what kind of number would you like to see? Over the 130? This way you won't have to come back in a year, okay?
In a year, well, I'll be back anyway if they expand. So I gotta come back either way. And if they expand, I'm asking for more parking. Right now, this is more than we need. And, you know, like I said, this last piece of equipment isn't coming in until November of 2028 or something like that. So I won't be back for at least 4 years at that, so. Conditional, conditions on parking upgrades for any additional employees beyond, I'm fine with it.
Gentlemen? Open for any motions or suggestions or comments?
I'm looking at a number of 180, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a fair number. I'm looking, I said this 337, that's what you're asking for, the variance of. Actually, they want 467.
Correct.
You'll never fill.
Yeah, and, you know, when we had a pre-app meeting, and Nino was there, and he says, yeah, we understand our parking requirements are not strict. He said, London, you know, it's like they ask more than, what's, you know, everybody always asks for a parking reduction, because parking requirements are so high in your zoning code. You know, for the office, I understand. Office, I usually see one for every 200 square feet. But for manufacturing, 400 and storage or warehousing, I usually see 1,000 or 1,500 on most zoning codes. And that's, we're a national design build firm, so I have to look at them across the nation. 1,000, 1,500 is usually warehousing.
I'm not opposed of the 180, okay?
Does that seem like a fair number? I'd like to be equitable to everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't want overkill either,
Yeah.
okay? And I understand your point. Kent, do you have any comment on it?
No, we had something similar recently, and, you know, we had to figure it out.
I know, it's just,
It's just, I mean, the land banked idea, I think, is good. That's kind of a way to go, and I was trying to. But how many spots are there?
130 is what they're looking at. So that basically, in this drawing, okay, it's 2 rows of parking is basically what you have. Down the whole length of the building.
Well, in the corner.
Well, in the corner,
turns
yeah,
corner, right? So
right.
this is probably about 100.
Mhm.
So then I gotta find 50 more spaces, but it's gonna be a single loaded aisle, so
Right.
I'm coming back and I'm paving a drive aisle that's single loaded.
Yeah.
Right, so if you're gonna make parking, you know,
I see.
you wanna make it double loaded.
Your single loaded parking would be on this, right
Yeah,
here.
it would be-
So you'd have to, right. So instead of doing the single loaded, the double loaded would be much better, more efficient.
If we're gonna build it up front, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I could put some up here, but people would just have to walk. They wouldn't do it for music, so they wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
You know, we could put some, I'm hesitant to put it here because they're gonna have some kind of outside equipment, silos and pumps for the rail.
Right.
I don't wanna stretch it any further here.
Okay.
What about 150? And then I can stretch it a little around the curve and add some here. And
So
maybe
it'll be
add some-
close to the building.
Yeah, and I would just hate to have them pave a single loaded aisle, you know, it's 9 by 18 for parking spot, 24 for the drive
Right.
aisle. Right, so there's,
Well, I mean, if we go from 130 to 150 is 20 spots, it's no big deal. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, we're gonna have 10 employees, you know, with 20 spots or, you know,
well, I mean, potentially 20 employees on a day shift, right?
Yeah.
And then the spots open up for the other shifts.
and where would you say you'd add it if you added a few?
Well, I'd probably extend this street, bring this out here.
And then bring that drawing.
Well, I gotta be careful because there is some grade that drops off here, so I could probably square it off, add some, and this drive would have to come in,
Mhm.
kind of an upper angle.
Right.
I can add some here. Without getting into the land bank portion of it,
Right.
you know, where I can actually add some without, you know, being single loaded and stuff. There's gonna be probably a break area and some equipment pads out here.
And when you say break area, is that gonna be grassy or is it gonna be paved or?
Might be like
Picnic
a
tables and
store
all
off
that.
pavilion or something here to come out smoke. If
if they come back in a year, year and a half, 2 years,
Can we make it conditional if they come back, that they have to do this full plan then?
well,
I wouldn't,
I wouldn't go to full plant, I would come back to see what employees, number of employees, and we could work off of that from code. Because the code may change by then, maybe and maybe not, but I would put a recommendation in there that if there's more than the 100 employees or whatever, they need more parking, that,
yeah,
they would come
our
back.
challenge is not the current tenant. Our challenge is we make it a condition for the property forever.
Right,
And if we change it and then somebody else is in there and they just can't fit, I mean, that's where our challenge
Yeah.
comes in. And
Oh, so you'd have to make them, I get it, I get it.
that's where it gets tough for us,
So in the condition, if they break over 100 employees, you come back? Because that gives a 30%.
it's,
That's, you know, then you get 101, you gotta come back, I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the land banked idea. I don't know if it does us any good to add a few or not add a few. I mean, does it look like then we, you know?
that's what I'm saying, okay, I mean, if we had another, they want 130, we had another 20 or another 30, I don't think it's gonna really do anything, okay? I would rather see, go with this, and what Ken is trying to say is we just don't look for today. We have to look for tomorrow and next year and 15 years down the road.
Yeah.
You guys walk out the door and somebody else comes in and they have 400 employees, you know.
Absolutely, that's why I
Okay.
show the land bank, to show that.
That's what,
that it
Yeah,
can-
that's what we're
That's-
saying.
yes.
Yeah, that's what we're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, and then if you wanted to pick a number, or if, you know, any occupant of this building reaches over.
Well,
Is that something?
I guess if.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's designed under square footage now. And
Right.
Yeah.
That's our tool that we're using, and
Yes,
so, I really don't have a problem with the kind of the way it is, but I'm not sure, we're just picking numbers otherwise.
right, that's right.
You know, we're just, and we're guessing.
150 sounds like a good number.
Well, yeah, I agree, but,
Right.
we're building something that we know isn't gonna be used, and
Why don't we do it on the land bank? Okay, and
I don't see why we're gonna get more, so this is gonna be something, you know, that we're setting, and like I said, we did this last time, we had a
Yeah.
question that was similar to this,
it was very similar.
so.
Make a motion. Go ahead.
I don't know, can we do a land bank? Did we? I was trying to see what they had said about it, I don't remember what the city said.
Well, I don't know, Chris, what's your opinion on the land bank, okay, and coming back to the board, okay, if it exceeds so many employees, okay, or there's another expansion?
I think, like the city planner said that the land bank, they don't recognize that. So, I mean, I'm thinking the employer knows how many spaces he needs.
Okay,
And if there's an expansion in the future, then they would have to come back to planning commission, and then they would reevaluate the parking.
Yeah, so-
okay.
And not only that, isn't there like no on-street parking? So
Well, you
if
have to
they're
park
maxed
on,
out.
you have to park on surfaces that are approved for vehicular
Right.
use. I mean, you can't be parking on the
So
grass
if
or
they're busing
anything
at
like
the
that.
seam, they're parking at the seam, then they would have to come back and add more parking.
Right, I mean, the expansion is one thing, but, you know, here you go again, maybe 3 years from now, instead of 100 employees, you have 250 employees,
Yeah, say it's a different company, they come in and.
or even the same company. Okay, that's where we're up in the air about, okay?
Yeah, I hesitant to say that the same company would hit over 130 in the next 5 years. Where's 2025? In the next 4 years. Let's give it that. And if they do, then he knows to come back and get paved surface to park on.
So what if we make a motion, comment with you gentlemen, okay, about the land bank, all right? And if it exceeds 130 employees, one per parking spot, that they have to come back to the board for more parking. whether it's this company or any other company, or an expansion.
It's a condition that runs with the land. For the parcel.
Any,
Yeah,
any comment? I mean,
no, we're going the same way, we're just trying to figure out how to do this.
Right.
We're trying to figure out how to, yeah, to get it, cause I think we would agree that we're at a point where we're gonna meet the need of the business.
correct.
And we're gonna not overdo anything, but, how do we see the future? And I think we can't change I don't think we could go by the employees, we can, because we don't have a tool that measures that in the code.
No.
I don't know.
We don't, but I mean, the only thing is if it's an expansion and they don't expand, okay, and you still get 200 employees, they're still gonna need more parking, okay?
Right, but
Do we leave it up to them to tell us, hey, we need more parking? Or do we leave it up to the city officials to tell them that they need more parking?
yeah, I'm with, that's the hard, but we obviously, this variance would be for the current conditions and everything. If there's another expansion, we would have to reevaluate, and the
Yeah.
numbers would be back high again,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you guys would have a say on the parking
yeah.
if there's an
Yeah,
expansion.
and that's our challenge as we do now. And we're supposed to figure out kind of what
Well,
might happen,
if-
so.
If it does change use, there's a bay that's 660 by 85 feet, whatever that comes up, which is all equipment, will probably come out, and does that become storage at 800 square feet per parking space, or does it become manufacturing, that's 400 square feet? Because right now, it's 400, that last bay, 83 feet by 660, is one space for 400 square feet, and it is all used up by machinery. I mean, I can go get my laptop and show the floor plan. I might not want to.
So I guess if you're, how I would phrase it, like, I don't know if you want me to make it or to just kind of phrase it.
well, that's not what.
What I would phrase
We'll
it,
fill it, how's that?
I would say we accept it as presented, and they'd have to come back for additional, changes to the building or additions,
Expansion.
expansions, and we would evaluate at that time, and the practical difficulty is the processes and manufacturing systems that are used now are less labor intense than they were when the codes were written.
Yeah, or, come back for any building addition, for any change in internal use from storage to manufacturing or office. Because it doesn't necessarily have to.
But did they have to get a permit for that, to change the usage of the building?
You'd probably get an occupancy permit.
Yeah, so-
Once they have an occupancy
But for
permit,
Internally, if they decide, hey, we don't want this machinery anymore, we're gonna make it all warehousing.
Right, or office or
or
whatever.
office, yeah, then that changes the numbers, which changes the parking. So external addition or internal changes too.
Well, I get what you're saying, but we can't require them to do something that the code doesn't require them to do. So if they don't have to come when they change the use of the building, they don't come back for a permit, they just do it. So that would, we can't make up something
But
that
the
the,
footprint you can, right, if they add to the actual.
the
extension,
footprint of
yeah,
the
the footprint.
building, yeah, which is what
Right.
we said at the beginning of that was kind of like if it changes. And I think the code would change to be more lenient than it would be, make it any stricter.
Any
so-
stricter than the number that is.
Yeah, so.
Do you have that kind of?
The second part, I missed a little bit with the practical difficulty.
The practical difficulty that I see is that the code doesn't recognize the current standards of manufacturer. And
Versus the old standards.
we're less labor intense in activities, thus there's less staff members and less parking needed. So that's why I would say we go with it, and then any changes to the building or parking or expansion,
Right, expansion.
we would expect the building owner to come to us, to the city.
Whether it's this building, this project, or somebody else comes in. Gentlemen, is that satisfied with you?
We need a second.
Yeah,
Second.
Do we have to
Is
reread
that
it?
a motion?
it is a motion. Unless you have something to add
No.
or delete.
You know,
We're giving it a whirl here, okay?
So my 180 got thrown out.
Well,
Well, yes, I guess it's that. Yeah, They'll be back.
we gotta vote first.
All right, we're gonna vote. Is it
Do
there a
you wanna
second?
try reading that
You have a
again or
second?
not?
Yeah.
AJ's got a second.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Pilato?
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda?
Yes.
Mr. Fosselman?
Yes.
Mr. Selko?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're on case 717, am I right?
Yes.
Case 717 is passed. Okay. Now, we're gonna go to case 718. And will the zoning inspector please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Zoning Code Appeals will hear a request for an area variance at 8554 Valley View Road. The variance request is to section 1171-11E3. Access ways shall not be less than 12 feet nor more than 36 feet in width at the property line. The applicant is requesting a variance of 70.36 feet to have a drive apron width at the property line of 106.36 feet.
Okay, so,
Is there any questions to the city from the board?
So, am I getting it right? So that they want more
Yes.
than that's required?
Yes.
Yes, and I could tell you that right now, why.
Well, no, I can envision it, but I was thinking, this is kind of the opposite of everything else we did.
Yes.
That they want this little bitty, okay, all right, they want more.
More.
That's
Okay.
correct, and here it is right here.
Thank you.
and then enlargement in the red circles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was, Chris was, good enough, kind enough to call me as soon as he got this in his hands to correct my 174 foot request, because it's not the setback at, or it's not the curb cut at the street, but the curb cut at the setback line, is that correct? Yeah. So I was gonna ask for another 68 feet, but, in any case, the width of this is existing. I don't know if you've driven past this, and it's got a concrete box, and it's dirty, it's not dirty, it's dirt and gravel, due to the nature of the existing use, or the existing
Right.
what he's using it for. So what we'd like to do is to clean it up, and, in doing so, some of their product outgoing is a 53-foot tractor trailer with a,
Which is almost standard today.
yeah, yep, if, you know, if he had straight bed trucks, well, now I tighten up that radius and make it tighter. But with this road not hitting Valley View Road perpendicular, at an acute angle, that turn out and turn in, coming from the north, you know, that trailer swims wide. So that's why that access road is as wide as it is now. And that's why those concrete blocks are there, because they kept cutting the corner, to get wider and wider over the years. So, we'd like to take advantage of it and use what's there, just clean it up and maybe get rid of those, concrete.
So the current project as it is now, you're just maybe fixing it up a little bit, you're not redoing the whole driveway.
I think, oh no, we're gonna pave it. Yeah,
It's gonna be all
it'll be
asphalt,
concrete, yeah.
right, not stone.
Concrete?
So you're gonna add the concrete then?
Proposed concrete drive apron, that's,
Oh, just the apron,
Just
so,
the apron.
so the
Yeah.
existing road is already,
that existing road becomes asphalt then.
so you're gonna pave that too then?
Yes, sir.
So why can't we just go more perpendicular to the road?
The grades.
Okay,
And in fact, Matt Weber, civil engineer, I think he kind of moved it north a little bit so that he can make it work. You know, because I don't think right now the cross slope of the road is compliant or not compliant, or whatever engineers.
Even the site plan coming out of the facility, by being that wide, you get a better site with oncoming and traffic either way too.
Yeah.
From what I've seen over there.
Yeah, being able to square up before you actually make the turn, having that width, you can do so.
Right.
And then hopefully we can get those barriers out of the way too, those concrete Jersey barriers, because nobody likes it,
No.
to be honest.
And I take it it's probably gonna be all landscaped up front, and
Um,
signage and everything else, or?
I know it'll be grass, signage, I haven't actually talked to the client about signage. I know they want it on the building, but up front, I think what they're waiting on is to see which permanent access easement Norfolk Southern's gonna grant them. Valley View or, what's the other one, Highland?
So you'll probably be back here for signage.
Yeah, and that's pretty typical for these types of projects, is that I'll submit signage under separate cover, because honestly, I want someone else to do it, but, you know, like sign manufacturers, that's what they do, and the client has something in mind, but, yeah, monument sign probably out there, I'll do it.
I can't see how dressing it up would be a bad thing.
No.
And then if you're gonna make it concrete, you're not gonna be carrying all kinds of other junk onto.
Right now, it's a bunker,
Yeah,
is basically what it is. I mean, you know,
and when I even read this one, I thought, I'm not sure why this needs a variance. It needs a variance because it couldn't make, I mean, I'm still having trouble trying to,
well, the code because of the width,
I
the
guess. but
numbers,
it's-
okay. I don't have a problem with it. Do you have any other questions?
No,
Chris, any suggestions, questions? I mean, you have anything to
I
add?
think you need it wider there, because the trucks coming south on Valley View always go out into the other lane to make that
To
turn
make
there.
that turn?
So it's,
It's just a good,
Well,
And it's to the ridiculous point anymore.
yeah.
Before
Yeah.
you know it, you're gonna have,
we don't need any problems there, especially with the trucking that's going in there.
trailers.
Yeah.
So the practical difficulty is basically the contour of the land and the way the
Angle.
current, the
Angle.
ankle, the way the current drive
Entrance
comes
and
out
angle.
and kinda almost runs parallel at one point to Valley View and then kinda meets up with it, so. And that,
I tried to answer all the
You
zoning.
did a good job.
Yeah, they did it.
There's a lot of info in there, that's for sure. Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept case 718 as presented to the board.
I will second if
And have a roll call, please.
Mr. Shalfo,
yes.
Mr. Pilato,
Yes.
Mr. Fosselman,
Yes.
Mr. Iafreda.
Yes.
Case 718 has passed as presented to the board of zoning appeals.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you need anything else, you know where we're at.
Yeah, well, you'll probably see me.
Well, hopefully you're back. That means.
It's a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, either I'm back for signage, or, I know I got planning coming up Monday,
Okay?
and, this project will be phased because of the timing. You know, they cut the order for the equipment to come from Germany, so it's showing up. So we gotta get something under roof on, they say, so.
You don't want to sit outside, that's for sure.
No, and I don't wanna pay for storage either,
No, not for that kind of, not for that kind of equipment.
right?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Once again, have a good Easter.
You too.
thank you.
Yeah,
I did take tomorrow off.
there you go. As far as the meeting that's done, the only other thing we have is miscellaneous election of chairman and vice chairman. Any comments?
No, but I'll make a motion.
Okay, we're here.
I make a motion, we, bring Mr. Pilato back and have Mr. Falco as his right-hand man, since you did a great job last time.
I can go for that.
It's okay with me. I accept, Ken accepts. Do we have to have a vote?
Might as, or you could all just say aye if you want.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Not accountant, I've tried to, Matt, to try to get him straightened out all these years.
Yeah,
Well,
It's up to you, partner.
okay, I'm gonna give it a shot.
that's right.
I
we'll
got a
get it
year.
done. We got a word fine.
I think we got one in May, so we got one meeting anyways.
Yeah, definitely. What was I gonna say? Congratulations to Matt also. I never said anything before, but I haven't talked to him. That was nice, okay? Hopefully he does a great job there too. And, all I have to say is a happy Easter to everybody and their families.
Me too.
And have a nice meal, and church and everything else. And we'll go from there.
See you in a month.
Yes, we'll see you in a month. And any motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We have a second.
All right.
Thank you so very much.
All right. Hey, partner.
Happy Easter. Yeah, good. Let's do something else. We'll see.